So there's this just epic encounter in the garden. Jesus is distressed. The language here, I can't begin to tell you how heavy the language is here that Mark uses. Very intense, very, very intense language. He's astonished, he's amazed. We have the essentially distressed, the compound form of the verb, astonished. Like Jesus is trying to comprehend the magnitude of what's happening. And we see that he is in Gethsemane, which means oil press, which means the harder you press, the better the product. And we're seeing that we are going to benefit from Jesus' obedience. We are going to see that Jesus is simply the better David who fled through the Kidron Valley, which is where they are now at the Garden of Gethsemane, after he was betrayed by Absalom, and now Jesus gives himself up in the same valley for our redemption. We're going to see that in the garden, a serpent was able to deceive the first Adam, his wife. And in the second garden, the serpent was unable to deceive the second Adam. We're going to see that the first Adam in the garden was told, "Obey me about the tree. Do not eat and you will surely live." And he disobeyed. And we will see in the second garden, the Garden of Gethsemane, God says, "Obey me about the tree on which you will be crucified and you will surely die." And he obeyed. The disciples cannot stay awake after everything they've been through, all of the magnitude of the days before. And we see that he takes these three guys and they see him transfigured, Peter and James and John. Not the same way that they saw him transfigured before, and were energized, and there was this moment, this literally mountaintop experience for them where they got to see the transfiguration, where they got to see him chatting with Moses, where they got to see the glory of God on the top of the mountain, and they were excited and energized and said dumb things because they couldn't piece words together. "Should we make some tents for you?" Like it was ridiculous and wonderful all at the same time. And now it's the valley. He's in the valley, the Kidron Valley, and it's bad times, and it's suffering, and it's grief, and it's dark. That's not exciting to them. And so then we see verse 34, "And he said to them, my soul is very sorrowful, even to death. Remain here and watch." My soul is sorrowful, and this word perilupos, which is where we get our word perimeter from, means he's literally surrounded by sorrow. In any direction that he thinks, any direction that he moves, anywhere he looks for peace, he is greeted by sorrow and this great thing that's coming down upon him. That there will be this separation, that he will willfully take upon himself, that we may again have union as we did in the garden, willfully choose the tree and the deception and experience separation. Now through obedience we're gonna experience unity. It says, "And immediately while he was speaking, Judas came, one of the 12, and with him a crowd with swords and clubs from the chief priests and the scribes and the elders, as many as 1,000 men potentially. Now the betrayer had given them a sign saying, 'The one I will kiss is the man. Seize him and lead him away under guard.' Just as the one who betrayed David went away and hung himself." That's exactly what happened here, isn't it? Judas, same thing, another foreshadowing. And in John's account, Jesus has the chance to flee, of course, because the disciples are sleeping, Satan's tempting, there is no soldiers, there's nothing anywhere. This is his perfect chance to do what David did and flee. He could flee right now. He could do it. He could go. There are hundreds of thousands of people in Jerusalem for Passover. He could go blend into the crowd. He could go and never be seen again. He has every opportunity to do it, and he doesn't. And in John's account it says he stood up and he says, I am he. And they hit the ground. They all hit the dirt. We're always like, why did he cut off his ear? He was trying to kill the guy. He was trying to cut his throat, of course. He cut off his ear by the grace of God. And Jesus says, he who lives by the sword will die by the sword. And let me just say this, so clearly in this text, we can see that really David's kingdom failed, largely used violence as its primary weapon. Jesus' kingdom succeeded and absolutely did not use violence or force as its weapon. If you were making a story up about a guy that you wanted people to worship, you would not include this piece of narrative. The Greeks and the Jews at the time, they died in glory, fearlessness, with absolutely nothing but contempt for those around them. This happened. This happened for you, for me. How long do we have left? I don't know. Let's make the most of it. Father, I pray that you would just